Hello and welcome to today's Money 2020 Hindsight, your cheat sheet for the least you need to know in fintech today. I'm Nick Holland, Global Head of Research at Money 2020. Today we'll discuss Robinhood's ongoing very bad day, Visa and Pornhub, Coinbase's BlackRock investment, and of course the Money Shot. Pew pew. First of all, though, as we always do on the Money 20 Hindsight, number of the day. So, Mickey, over to you, mate. So, what is it?
Hey Nick, how you doing?
Awesome, mate. Yourself?
Good, thank you. So my number of the day today, Nick, is 23%.
Okay, and what's that then?
So that is the percentage by which Robinhood is set to reduce its headcount. So it's going to be laying off about 23% of its employees as part of what its CEO, Vladimir Tenev, called a reorganization. And this is a bit more than a reorganization. As you know, Nick, this is the second time in a few months Robinhood, is laying off staff. Back in April, it laid off 9% of its global workforce already, and it just is an indicator of how much Robinhood has struggled in recent weeks and months. We've also had a couple of regulatory issues at the company, and potential takeover conversations we've had on here as well, right? With FTX.
Yeah, it's been ongoing, right? I mean, Robinhood's clearly not having a great time right now. I mean, there was the last week as well, the cryptocurrency arm fined 30 million by New York's financial regulator, so that's not great. On the FTX chatter, though, apparently Vlad Tenev, the CEO of Robinhood, says that he has enough money to do his own deals. Thank you very much to FTX. So no. So
well, there we go. What can we say?
6 billion in cash, apparently. Anywho, moving on. So this is a little bit, I guess, ongoing issue as well. That goes back to December 2020. But let's talk a little bit about Visa's Pornhub issue, and this is a bit pervasive issue in terms of monetizing adult content. And this goes back to 2020 when there was a New York Times op-ed declaring that Pornhub had a child porn problem. At that point, Visa temporarily suspended all business with Pornhub and sites owned by their owner, MindGeek. This has resurfaced, though, in terms of, and just even last week, so this week, or last week rather, U.S. District Judge Cormac Carney of the U.S. District Court of California decided the reason to believe that Visa knowingly processed payments that allowed MindGeek to monetize a substantial amount of child porn. Vicky, what do you think? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just such a challenging time, right? I think it is. It seems like it's a good move in terms of getting some more responsibility around this, because I think certainly now it's really important to have that protection. But also, I don't know what Visa is going to do in terms of to what degree did they know, and to what degree should they be expected to know?
Yeah. It's a tough one. I mean, how complicit are they? It's I guess the courts will shake it out, but
Yeah, I mean, I think just the analogy in my head is just things like anti-money laundering and KYC, right? I think these companies have these expectations on them, irrespective of what they do, just because they are processing these funds. So perhaps it does make sense to have similar expectations on these.
Yes. No, absolutely. All right, moving on. Let's have some better news. Coinbase said Thursday it's partnered with BlackRock to give the world's biggest asset managers clients access to Bitcoin and other currencies. They said Coinbase shares rallying more than 15% as a partnership with a major Wall Street institution eased investor worries about heightened regulatory scrutiny of the crypto market space. The market space will offer access to crypto assets through Coinbase Prime, which will provide crypto trading, custody, prime brokerage, and reporting capabilities to Aladdin's institutional client base, who are also clients of Coinbase. So, yeah, I mean, great. It's like crypto winter over, do you think?
Over. Like it was never there, right? It's just that a click of a finger to make all the woes go away.
Right.
Super interesting story. I mean, I think it's really interesting because so much of the conversation is always on the retail side of it, right? And for Coinbase, this sounds like a pretty huge lifeline. If you remember a couple of months back when they had that issue and the CEO, Brian Armstrong, came out saying some things that you wouldn't expect or want someone in charge of your money to say, they've started to rally now. So they were about trading at $50 a stock at that point. They've now crossed over $100, so that's 100%.
I think, I mean, it's interesting as well. I mean, I think there was a lot of, again, the pandemic, a lot of crypto dabblers, I guess, and, you know, clearly things get a little bit shaky and we come out of the pandemic like, oh, hang on, maybe I'm not really seeing the returns I wanted on my, you know, Dogecoin or whatever. So I think, yes, it's indicative that maybe, I wouldn't say crypto winter's over, but maybe crypto winter's changing to something a little bit more diversified. And, you know, again, if Coinbase can sort of, you know, I guess, move more into, again, a sort of investment space at you know, that kind of level with BlackRock, then it's got to be good news for them. Brilliant. Okay, so let's move on to the money shot. Pew pew. Always an interesting part of the show here. So Rachel Morrissey, welcome back to the show. Rachel's our podcaster extraordinaire and all-round lovely person and guru on all things fintech, a similar veteran to me.
Hi, Nick. Hi, Vicky. How are you guys?
Hey.
So, Rach, let's discuss Amazon. Their home invasion continues. They recently acquired iRobot, which is local to me in Bedford, Massachusetts, making innovative cleaning products for the home, including the Roomba, which is famous for transporting cats around houses and things. They're going to Amazon's acquiring iRobot for $61 per share in an all-cash transaction valued at approximately $1.7 billion, including iRobot's net debt. Rach, over to you. I think this is fascinating in terms of not just this acquisition, but kind of Amazon's ongoing, I guess, acquisition plans overall. You know, looking up some of the acquisitions they've done since 1994, 113 companies. And they've spent $33.48 billion in acquisitions in that time. Some of them really work out. So, Rach, over to you.
Well, I think Amazon is also on a bit of a tear recently with their acquisitions, and I mean they bought the One Health. I mean the One Life. It was One Medical. So they all of a sudden they're in primary care for health work, and then they are buying Roomba. You can see the data acquisition in this. A Roomba combined with your Alexa, and they're going to know, you know, how you live, how you move, how everything about your home. And the Ring, you know, you're looking at that. I saw a really interesting theory on this, which was that actually Jassy is. I mean, we're not talking Bezos anymore, right? We're talking Jassy. Jassy is looking for that fourth pillar. He's got AWS, he's got Prime, he's got Marketplace, and he's looking for that fourth pillar to basically uphold Amazon as an indestructible giant. And I don't see how they're not, and I don't see how we're going to stop them. They will find it, and it will either, I think, be in home services like you're looking at with the iRobot stuff, or it will be in healthcare, or I think there might be a way for them to marry these, actually, if they can look at this as like a whole life service. We might, I mean, we all live in different countries, but we might be in the global order of Amazon.
So, interesting. So I was laughing just then because I had to sort of struggle to mute my Alexa, given the amount of times the word Alexa was using this conversation.
Sorry.
But personally, they're pervasive in my house. I've completely drank the Kool-Aid in terms of Ring doorbells and cameras and you know, numerous Alexa devices and connected light bulbs and everything. So it reminds me of one of the Simpsons tree houses of terror, where again everything in my life has a Simpsons reference, I guess, but it's where again the house takes over and effectively tries to kill them all. But hopefully that's not going to happen. I think that their plan is less nefarious, but probably a lot more to do with data collection.
Right.
You know, now
well, we think of it as less nefarious, but their data collection is intimidating if it's not anything else. Like, we don't think of them as nefarious because they want to serve us or they give us what we like, but it's part of the surveillance capitalism that we are all living in, and whether we like it or not. I mean, Google, I'm there. Like, Alexa's in every room in my house. Google Home is in half the rooms in my house. My house isn't even that big, and I've got like 5 of them. They're everywhere, and I depend on them, and I talk to them. I just remember to thank them every time they answer me, because when they take over, I think they'll be nicer to me.
I'm going to show Exhibit A. It's not. Oh, I've gone out of focus. It's not a Roomba. But it's my robot vacuum. I put googly eyes on it because everything needs googly eyes. This is kind of like this is like a drunk room where it just kind of bangs around sort of into things and finally goes home when it's bored. So that's, but it's, again, I'm all in with this stuff, and as we say, I mean, we're willingly paying for these home invasions. I don't know how much I've bought on hardware, but again, whenever Amazon Prime renewal comes up, I'm like, yeah, how much did it cost?
Auto renewal. It just renewed on mine.
Yeah.
In fact, and most households in the US, the 80% of households in the US have an Amazon Prime account that's higher than any product. They own us.
I for one welcome our robot overlords. But
we may not do worse than what we're doing.
Well,
now,
I don't know. But again, let's recalibrate this a little bit. I mean, what is the monetization angle on this? I mean, again, this is a fintech podcast, and as much as I love,
it's a service. I mean, they definitely a service. They definitely will be able to embed, utilize the data to make things more personalized. They definitely will be able to be more encompassing. It's there. It's just,
well,
that's why we invite it, right? We invite it because we like what they do.
They could do personalizing a little bit. I bought an amp on Amazon the other day, and like a couple of weeks ago, and this week it was like, oh, we see you bought an amp on Amazon this week. Would you like to buy another amp? So there's. They have some issues with maybe some other algorithms, but yeah, I agree. I mean, it's definitely once they connect the dots in terms of the data in our homes, and yes, I mean, clearly the Roombas can now map our homes quite accurately as well and divulge that information, so we know exactly the square footage of every home now. Let's talk a little bit, though. I mean, again, it's not been all good. I mean, there was the Amazon Astra they bought out, Rach, which you brought up earlier on in our conversation,
I did,
which is an unmitigated disaster. I think it was like a $2,000, basically robot drinks tray, right?
But if you think about it, I mean, they may have fixed the Astra problem by buying a robot company.
Well, this is it. I remember years back, I had an Amazon Fire phone, and they brought out, they launched a phone with the idea.
They have an app.
Yeah, I mean the phone. Well, exactly. I mean, rather than so they put out their own phone. The idea being that you would connect the dots between. You could scan something in the physical world, i.e., Best Buy or your supermarket, and it would put it in your Amazon cart. And then someone probably thought, we could do that with an app. We didn't really need to put out a phone. So it's not the first time they've done a foray into hardware and then retrenched and come back again with something that is, either an acquisition or something much more software related. Mickey, I mean, over to you a little bit on this. I mean, what? Again, any other thoughts on Amazon?
I mean, I think I find it interesting. I'm not quite sure where I stand, to be honest with you. I think the Alexa thing is quite interesting. I remember when Alexa first came out, my friend used to work at Amazon, and the first iteration that they had about 10 years ago. And I think it took a long time for Alexa to do anything. And I don't know if it's done anything that is considerable to a degree that we are worried about it or we find it that valuable. I know people use it. So I'm still not quite sure about the benefit of this acquisition for Amazon. And I just wonder if there is actually more risk in it for them, because I think we're living at a time when there is so much scrutiny on these tech companies, anti-monopoly, potential regulations coming. And Amazon it seems a bit reckless to go acquire another player in the space, make regulators and legislators look at you some more, because you are really making it's a difficult space, right? In terms of,
if you were going to break up Amazon, are you going to break up are you going to break them up pillar by pillar? Is AWS going to be cast off as Prime Marketplace? With these all going to become separate? How do you break up Amazon? How do you break up something that has the potential of being a monopoly?
Well, I mean, they tend to. I mean,
in any way that would affect them. I think that's why there's less worry about.
I mean, a lot of these companies think, the mentality is let's ask for forgiveness rather than permission, right? I mean, again, pretty much that's Facebook's modus operandi, and I think a lot of these big tech companies, it's like let's do it, put it out in the market before we get regulated, and then we'll dial it back. But again, if you've got this hardware in your homes already, it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle, isn't it?
And it's if you are looking at it from their perspective, which is a move towards towards innovation and building up this pillar of service, then the way they see it, the regulators can come, but they'd have to untangle things that people like, that people want.
It's interesting. Well, you kind of wonder where consumers will draw the line, and I'm thinking a bridge too far might be medical information, and which they're probably going to be collecting as well from a number of devices, but certainly the overshare that might be happening through things like personal fitness devices and treadmills and pelotons and all that kind of stuff. It's at what point does Amazon start pitching you caskets because you're going to be dead in 3 months?
Yeah, I think that's the thing, because I think we've seen a lot of these products under different guises not be so successful and struggle, right? Like the Peloton is a good example of, because to me, for example, a Peloton has more utility than a Roomba, for example, right? There's a subscription model, etc., but it really struggled. I just don't actually see what even the mapping the square foot doesn't jump.
Yeah. There's an interesting, like the home fitness version of the Roomba is just an ordinary vacuum cleaner. So, there's maybe you can sell an app for that, some kind of or virtual vacuuming that is, there we're getting to the metaverse space.
Because, for a long time, I remember IoT was supposed to be so revolutionary in terms of changing how we do everything. And I don't know to the degree which it has had that impact. I know, of course, there are people who use it. There are people that use some parts of these services, but maybe this is what Amazon will need to connect all of those things and make it seamless. And
it's a lot of it is throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks, really, isn't it? It's I think there's a lot of iteration here, because they'll have some hits, they'll have a lot of misses in the meantime. Again, if they've acquired 113 companies, not sure how many of those have really come to fruition in terms of the acquisitions, and which ones got buried. But yeah, it's definitely it's an interesting space as it evolves. But yeah, I think I'm with you, Mickey, on a bunch of this, that it's really it's sort of a nascent market, and it's to see how things progress. But it's interesting again where the threshold will be, where consumers actually think, no, that's too much, I'm giving away too much information. I don't think we've reached that yet. Maybe they'll have a Cambridge Analytica moment where it's like people, there is an exposure of where the dots have been connected, and back to the IoT thing, what information is being triangulated about you based on the information that you're willingly divulging through your fitness devices and your car and your connected whatever. I had a habit for a while of buying stupid IoT devices. I had an IoT egg box that told me how many eggs I had in it, in case there was an emergency at the supermarket and I needed to know exactly how many eggs there were. It didn't actually work, so it was just an egg box.
Yeah, but I think maybe the important thing there is that it's a pretty good time to make deals now, isn't it? We're not sure what the economy is going to look like. If you're a big tech company and you're sitting on hundreds of billions of dollars of cash, also maybe makes sense to risk what's $1.7 billion to Amazon for a bet, right? For a tiny bet for them. And
how much did his rocket cost?
Yeah, Apple's doing an $80 billion stock buyback, so this is also another way that Amazon can bolster, use their
value, use their money.
The other thing, and because all of this is going to get added onto the final accounting, isn't it? However many users iRobot has, for example, that gets added into Amazon's.
You've got to say, it does look good on the annual report as well, right? That we're investing now in home automation. We bought, so it's some of this is smoke and mirrors. Anyway, folks, we have to move on because we're I love chatting about this stuff. Anyway, let's do this again soon. Thanks so much for Mickey and Rachel joining as ever. I'm Nick Holland from Money2020. Thank you for joining Hindsight. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.
Thanks.
Thanks.